Looking for real stories that lift you up? Welcome to Inspire and Impact, the podcast where purpose meets perseverance. This is where transformation begins and your story continues.
Welcome to the Inspire and Impact podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Rosenstein. The show features real conversations with thought leaders, healers, entrepreneurs, and creatives who share their journeys of growth, purpose, and making a meaningful impact. Today, I have the honor of interviewing Richa Chandra. Richa, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for having me.
Can you share a little bit about your background and history with the audience?
Sure. It's a privilege to be here. I'm, as you said, Richa, I live in Norway. I'm born in Norway, but I have Indian parents. And from very early stage, I was very used to my dad having a business, very used to playing with money. So I'm very comfortable thinking of money in terms of business and how to grow it. My dad always focused a lot on service, whereas my mom was a network builder. So it became very natural for me to go into business. But my actual education is in finance and computer science. So I was a programmer for a little while. And I always also have a master's in Indian classical dance. So I also run my own dance academy. I find like a kind of balance in the physical movements and, through dance, I meditate a lot and connect, not just with myself, but also with audience. And through the other businesses like coaching and so on, I try to have a bigger impact. And I have female entrepreneurs and solopreneurs as I have the honor to help them to grow their business and have success in their business. Yeah.
Well, you have a very impressive background of all the things that you've accomplished and you have multiple businesses. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can you maybe take us back, to your childhood in Norway? What were some pivotal moments that shaped who you are today?
Well, I'm, as I said, born here, but in the beginning, I wasn't accepted as a Norwegian. Things have changed a lot, since I was a child. But at that time, there were very few people with darker complexion who would go to school, and so I was bullied a lot. And I took a lot of beating as well. And that forced me to look inwards because I didn't get a lot of acceptance in the society. Then I kind of tend to, they say, like children play best. And so I found Indian children or Pakistani children who were born in Norway to be with because they understood the different culture that we were growing up in. So my mother was very strict. So we had a very traditional Indian culture at home. But then when we went outside, we have to adjust with the Norwegian culture. So I feel I'm privileged to be born into two different cultures and trying to find that golden middle way, taking the best of both cultures and, finding my own identity. But it was tough in the beginning. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot of compassion, taught me a lot of patience. And it also taught me that not to judge, others by the looks because I was judged, So that was some of the difficult times of my childhood, which actually followed me till I was quite, youngster. And suffering from, this kind of trauma, it didn't take me more, closer to the Norwegian community. It actually took me further away. And I became very quiet. I was very introvert and trying to find myself, trying to find people who could be, more like me. I chose to go to a different private school. And that's where I found international friends. And suddenly everything made sense, And that's why I also now look more towards the, internationally than just in Norway. Yeah. So that was some of the things, but it is very safe for children to grow up in Norway. Usually you will read that Norway is one of the happiest countries in the world because we have very little crime, and it's a beautiful place. It has a beautiful nature, and the people are very, calm and patient, and they most Norwegian you will feel are more introvert and more quiet. It takes a little time to get to know them, but once you know them, they are beautiful people. So it is a beautiful country, and as I said, the crime rate is less, and there were very few people in Norway. Only 5 million people, so it's easier, and it's a great country in the sense that the social security system is amazing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing all that about like your history and everything. Can I ask you, how did your upbringing impact or influence the way you coach and be an entrepreneur?
As I mentioned, my dad was a business owner, and as my mom, she ran the dance school to the amazing networker, amazing way she would network with people and add value. So my upbringing in that way was that I got it very naturally. I was looking at them, and I think you learn more by watching, especially your parents, because they create that environment in your home. And so I think learning from them how to see the person, if it is a customer or a student or anybody in front of you, to see and listen. What do they want? What do they need? That is the key thing in my coaching, that I first listen and understand what is it that they need and what it is that they want. Because I always say, give them what they want and then give them what they need, because sometimes people don't understand what they need, they just know what they want. And you, as a coach, can see that, oh, they have this much potential, they need this. But sometimes people can't see that themselves. So you have to help them. And first, by helping them, you can give them what they want and then give them what they need. So this is something I learned through my parents, that listen and understand and then add value. So that's the key thing in my team.
That's really wonderful. You're absolutely right. A lot of times people don't know what they really want versus what they need. So it's great that you incorporate really great listening skills to help people figure that out. Can I ask you, like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, what was the turning point in 2015 that led you to rebuild and rise stronger than ever?
Yeah, so what happened was that I was running my two businesses. My coaching business was a little bit, on a little pause. So I was just rethinking, reinventing. So I hadn't like full gone out with it yet. But my other business, which was also a family business that I took over, was struggling a little bit. But I was attacked, physically attacked. That led to me suffering from PTSD. And while I was recovering, there was a hostile takeover of the company, and I was left with nothing. They just threw me out of the company. Suddenly I was, left with no money. They owed me a lot of money, the board and so on, and they just took it. And that was very, very surprising, because in Norway that's not easy to do, especially when the founder is a part of the board and the founder was my parents. So that to be able to do that was a kind of a power play that went along with it. And right after I started the treatment for PTSD, I found the only way I would heal faster is to get back in the game. Business is a game. So get back into it and start being creative. And I knew that whatever they do, they can never take away my knowledge, my experience. They can take away a company, but a company is built with people, a company that has a value, that
Right.
has personal values, principles, norms. It's built because of the people who built it. And if you can take away, the structure, you think you can take the customers, but we've seen it again and again. Customers buy from people. If you're not a big brand, like a Coca-Cola or Nike, not everybody buys these products because of the owners. They buy it because of the product. But if it is a service industry, they buy from the people. And because it was a service based company, when I announced that I'm starting a new one in direct competition to the previous one, 80% of the customer followed me. And they said, we are where you are because we want to work with you. And it doesn't really matter what the company's name is or what we're getting there. We want to buy it from you because you are the one who we connect with. So what I did was I decided to go bigger and stronger. And as I said, I ran that company for 10 years. I knew in and out, right? And so I said, okay, there were so many other things that I wanted to fix in that company. I'm going to create that foundation so strong of the new one. I found a better name. I found, better people in the board. I found, much more energy and quality of the services. And I raised my prices. And I said, you keep the people who don't want to pay for quality. I don't want to work with them. I would only want to work with people who value what I can give. And as I said, 80% said yes to follow me. So they left that one. And unfortunately, they had to close that because they couldn't run it. As I said, a company is based on the people running it. If you think that, okay, you can just take the people that run it and just throw them out and you want to run it as, for me, that company was like a family member. It seems strange to address a company as a person, but it felt like it because it was my parents who started it, right? So for us, talking about it was a very common topic around the, dinner table. My brother was a part of it. I was a part of it from whenever we was young, very, very young. I started the accounting of that company when I was 14, 15 years old. I didn't even know what accounting was, but I was good in math. And my mom said, okay, you will do the accounting. So I started and I learned. And while I was, very, very young, before even I went to high school, I started the accounting. And I had the logistics. I had also, creative opportunities. So I learned a lot working in the company with my parents. So when I took over, it wasn't strange for me, but it felt like we had a loss when it was, taken away. It was really a loss. While I was suffering from the PTSD, we were all suffering as well. It felt like we were mourning because a huge part of our life was gone. But when I started this new company, it felt like, felt new, felt like a new baby was born. Everybody was excited. All of my family members, stood by me and said, let's do it again, with a fresh start. And yeah, and it became number one company of that sort in Norway within a year. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, it's such an amazing story. I think it's probably very inspiring to a lot of our listeners because there's probably a lot of people there that they may have never started a business before, or maybe they have and it failed for whatever reason. Because, a lot of, at least here in the United States, they say like 80 or 90% of businesses fail in the first few years. But I think it's very hopeful to listen to your story because like you had all these hardships and obstacles come up in your life, but you still persevered. You didn't give up.
No, no. In business, you can't give up. I mean, if you really want it. That's why there are so many people talking about doing business with purpose based business. Because when things are hard, because there will be a lot of challenges and there will be so many factors that you cannot control. And then you might feel like, okay, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not getting the clients, I'm not getting the pay, long nights. But if you really want it, you can't quit, you know. You just have to pull yourself up again and just continue. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that more people get inspired to continue, even if they think, okay, I might have to close down the company. But maybe you just haven't found the right way for you to run the company, you know.
So you've worn many hats. Like as you mentioned, you're an author, a coach, a dancer, an entrepreneur. What drives you to keep reinventing yourself?
Hmm, that's a good one, Daniel. I think that's a good one. What drives me to reinvent myself? I don't know. It's always something exciting out there, you know. And I think if my biggest what you call need as a human being is to grow. I need to grow, you know. And see, we all have to change, if you want it or not. You know that you have to change. Life happens, and you change. But if you control the narrative, if you control the change, then it doesn't feel so difficult when life forces you to change, you know. Sometimes life forces you to change directions. Sometimes it forces you to focus on your health. Sometimes it forces you to focus on your family. There's always some challenge out there. But if you make it as an exercise to change and grow all the time, so when the challenge actually happens, it feels natural to change, you know? And I think we all love surprises. There are very few people who don't like surprise. But we like the surprises and the change that we want, right? I love surprises. But I don't like the unpleasant surprise. It's still a surprise. I want to have the fun surprises and good surprises. But that's not in my control all the time. So I decided very early that a surprise is a surprise and a change is a change. I need to control some of it and be so flexible that if something happens, I'll always learn to change. It wouldn't be difficult for me to change. And so that's the thing. So I put new goals. And what I love about goals is how would I be? What kind of person will I be when I achieve this goal? That's what drives me, you know, to see how can I be better than myself, the yesterday self. How can I be better than my previous self in different areas? So that's actually what drives me and push myself, you know. I believe that amazing people, when they do amazing stuff, they push themselves, you know, got out of their comfort zone. So I keep on, you know, pushing my comfort zones. Yeah, that's yeah.
That's really amazing. So, what inspired you to become a coach, and how did your experience with Tony Robbins change your life? I noticed that on your website.
Yeah, yeah. So I heard about Tony Robbins very early. And as I said, I had a lot of challenges growing up. But in my home, it wasn't very common to talk about mental health, you know. And so I suffered silently with seasonal depressions. And when I got married to my husband, he was very much, you know, into Tony Robbins services, and he had read all of his books. So he introduced him to me, and a different world just opened up. And I decided for myself that at least once I will experience him live, you know. But before that, my husband also introduced me to NLP. And I searched on it and I said, I want to learn this properly. You know, after reading Tony's books, I understood NLP, but I really wanted to master it. I wanted to, you know, use it on myself to be able to, you know, also change my mindset, also changed my state, of mind, like quickly. If I was feeling that I was going into a depression, how to take control of that. And so we found a coaching institute, and we both went in for coach, like becoming a coach. But my husband doesn't, practice coaching, and I didn't actually go into it to practice and coach others. I wanted to coach myself. It was actually started with me. With all of that education, and I took masters and everything, it's used it on myself all the time. All of the things that I've experienced, all of the episodes that have happened, I used it for everything. And the transformation that I experienced was just amazing throughout the 1.5 year I was studying it. And I thought it's a little bit unfair for people out there not to be able to experience it. And to get certified, I had to do so many hours. And so I found people in my network. I said, hey, I'm doing this coaching. At that time, nobody had heard of coaching. So I was like, what's that? And so I had to kind of explain it to them. And I said, just do it for me. I need the help. I need to complete so many hours. And once they got into it and they understood the value of it, the benefit of it, they kept on coming. That's when I understood that this is really what I want to do. So I started with life coaching, and it wasn't until I think 8 years ago, 9 years ago, that when I started business coaching. So I've been a coach for 18 years, and it is only the last 8, 9 years that I've been a business coach. Yeah.
Wow, it's really amazing that you've done all that. I want to ask you, like, kind of regarding a lot of this, like you're talking about NLP, which has a lot to do with like overcoming challenges and fears. You mentioned on your website you live by the mantra, fears don't define us. How we
Yeah.
face it does. Can you share a moment where you had to face a deep fear and how you dealt with it?
Oh, there are many of them. Many of them. Oh my God. You wouldn't believe. I think we all, experience it again and again and again. So I think, I don't know which one I should take. I can take one from my childhood, is one when I was being bullied. I was afraid of going home. I wasn't more than 11, 12 years old, I remember. And so the teacher said, okay, you can wait a little, let them go home. And I waited 15, 20 minutes. I thought they were gone, but I was still afraid. I was still afraid that they were, wait for me. And that's what happened. And the moment I came to a certain point, they will, the outside of school's boundaries, they'll catch up. And then they'll start bullying me. And sometimes I'll get this physical beating as well. And my reaction to it was, of course, I was very, very sad. And but I knew that they were also suffering. They were children, just like me, but a little bit older. And I, from my core, from my inner voice, or the higher power, whatever you would call it, God, or the ultimate power, I got this message that I'm strong enough. I can take it. I can take it. It's okay. It's only they're just lashing out on me. It's nothing personal. They just don't have anywhere else to place their anger. you know and that's when the fear kind of disappeared, when I understood it has nothing to do with me. Second time was, of course, when I was going to tell my dad that I'm going to marry a Norwegian guy and not an Indian guy. I was really scared. I was scared because I wanted it both. I wanted my husband and I wanted my parents in my life. I didn't want to kind of run away or just get married to get married. I really wanted them on my side. So I was really scared of losing their love, you know. as I said, I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. And I wanted them to be happy for me. I wanted them very much in my life, their blessing, but I knew I'm gonna hurt him because he had expectations for me. He liked Dennis, my husband, but because he's a very nice person, but he was scared for me. It took him a month or two, my dad, before he said yes. So I guess if I had been afraid, so afraid that I wouldn't go for what I wanted, I wouldn't have the husband, the life that I have now. So when I say it's not the fear that defines us, but how we react to it or the action that we take, regardless of the fear, that's what, you know, makes things happen. Even if you're afraid and you still do it because you know this is what you want. I knew I wanted to be married to this man, but I needed to go through fire or hell. I knew it. It was very, very hard because I've hurt my parents, but I still wanted them in my life. I hurt them, but I didn't want to hear, you know, we don't believe in this marriage. I wanted them to be happy for me. And that's a big ask for Indian parents who have, waited since the day you were born. They saved up money for your marriage. They really want to be a part of your life. So that was hard. The third time was where I know that I remember very well was when I was attacked. And I managed to, block the hits, and I managed to run away before big damage happened to me. But I remember sitting in the car and continue saying, this will not define me. This will not define me. I'm not a victim. This will not define who I am. This will not change. Of course it changed me. Of course it did. But it wouldn't change the way I am. I'm not going to change my whole life for this. This is not going to define me. I'm not a victim, you know. And I was scared. I was scared like hell. But I needed to kind of remind myself that the next actions, even if I'm scared, I need to define the next actions, not get home and get closed in and be scared of the next person who I will see or meet. It's easy to take a lot of steps back and say, okay, this happened to me and I'm now a victim. I could have, but I decided not to. So this is what I mean about it's how you react to it and how you act despite of the fear that will define you.
What would you say? What advice could you give to somebody who feels paralyzed because of fear or self doubt?
Yeah. And I've been there too, definitely. I would say that if you have the possibility to think about all the things you will miss out on, all of the losses that you will have by not taking actions, by not, moving. If you're paralyzed and you're not taking the action, you are losing out on opportunities, maybe financial opportunities, maybe some beautiful moments that you can have with other people, your family. What does it mean? What are you getting? What are you giving up by not, moving, not taking action? If you can think of that, then that should be, move you. If that doesn't, then find something, get a leverage, get something that you really want, and that focus on that this is really what I want. And if you want something bad enough, you will prioritize it and you will get out of the fear, because everybody gets fear. you know Being brave does not mean that we are not scared. I get nervous every time I am going on stage and performing. I have a big performance on Friday, which I am, producing, directing, everything. And I'm going to be dancing as well. Am I nervous? Am I scared that it will, what if, there's a lot of what if in my head. But I still need to do it because I really want to. And sometimes it's easier to see what kind of impact will your action have for other people. Sometimes it's easier for us to move for other people. If you can't find a leverage for yourself, what would it do? What kind of beautiful experience can your family have if you put the fear aside and then just take action? So that's my advice.
I mean, what mindset shifts have helped you move from a place of hardship to abundance?
Mindset. I always look at other people who have achieved what I want to achieve, where I want to be. And I say, if they can do it, I can do it. That's definitely a mindset that gets me moving because they've already, you know, walked the path and they're human beings just like me, you know? And if they can do it, I can definitely learn and I can definitely do it. So that shift is very important, that it doesn't have to be all about you. If you look outwards and see that other people have achieved it, it's already been done. You can just copy it. You can walk in their footsteps and you will get there too. Exactly the same way. So that's a mindset shift. And be very specific about your goals. What is it that you really want? If you have that and you know the why, that can help you shift your mindset from maybe I don't know how to, who can help me? How do I get there? If you don't know how, there's always somebody who can lead you, guide you. So yeah, these are the two things.
What do you think is like the most common mistakes you see new entrepreneurs make, and how do you suggest that they avoid, making those mistakes?
I think a lot of entrepreneurs want to do everything themselves. They think they can save some money by doing everything themselves. And before they get to the actual business, where they have to sell, they're exhausted. Another thing I would say is that get a business coach early. You don't have to get the most expensive one, but do find somebody who you can, you know, ask, who's available, who would guide you, especially when you are standing between so many choices. You need somebody who can say, okay, just pick this one, and yeah, because business in itself it's a study, many years of study and experience. And so a lot of people think, oh, I have this product or I have this service, let's start a business, but they don't know anything about business. The third thing I would say, always be aware of your numbers. Business is a numbers game. Be aware of your numbers, understand your accounts, understand the reports from very early, even if you think, oh, I don't have any income or I don't have this, but you still have cost. You're still spending your time. Your time and energy is also valuable. See how that turns out into numbers and be aware of your numbers very early. So these are the three advice I would give.
So how does your group business coaching model help people go from, feeling stuck to successful?
See, first, I only used to do exclusive business coaching one to one. But what I've seen with group coaching is that you get a community, you get peers, and they can be from different industry. So I try to put people together, even if they are not from the same industry, but in different levels. Some very startup, some experience, some with no capital, some with a little bit capital, so it depends. And they have all different networks, they have different experiences, they have different look on things, and they have different skills. Some are really good with content creating or text writing, whereas others are much more good with numbers, or they can delegate and they can help each other. And the most important thing is that you have somebody else who can hold you accountable, because there is something that is difficult, is holding yourself accountable when things are difficult and when things need you more attention. So group coaching is not just me coaching, but yes, we go through a lot of different subjects in the coaching. But the most important thing is that you have a group to do it with, a safe space, smaller groups. I have from 6 to 8 people in each groups, so they get to know each other very well for the next 6 months. And they hold each other accountable, and they do the homework they have to do. And that moves the business faster than you can imagine. Because sitting alone and making all the decisions, it's fun in one way, but it's not always giving. It's much more easier if you can share, hey, I wrote this, or I draw this, or I did this, would you take a look? And people can give feedback, and you get much more open-minded for what is it that your customer actually need. How are you presenting it? Where are you marketing it? All of the small things. But in the group coaching, we also go through each aspect of business, but it is your business. It's a reflection of you, right? So you still have to do the work. It's just that easier. It doesn't feel so lonely, because it can be lonely in this journey. So the strength of group coaching is often that. And more, the best part for the customer is that they're sharing, the bill. It's not as expensive as exclusive one-to-one coaching, which is much more expensive, the group coaching, because the attention is divided, so is also the money. They don't have to pay so much. So it's affordable for most people.
Can you maybe share one transformational story of one of your clients that kind of lights you up even when you think about it now?
Yeah. Which one should I choose? No,
If you have a couple of stories.
sure. So I have this beautiful lady. She's soon to be, in a year or two, she's going to be 60. But she's really tech savvy. She loved all of her projects. She has so many ideas. And that is a very common thing in creative people, that they have so many ideas, and she goes after the next shiny thing. So she'll start a project or an idea or a business around it, and then she will switch to the next thing, because what happens is that when you're trying something new, the growth process is like this, and that's when it is fun. When you're growing and everything is new, you're creative, and da 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 da. But when it comes to the part when you're marketing it and you want to sell it, she get bored. So she jumps to the next, and then she starts another one, and then the growth process is like this, and she thinks, oh, this is amazing. So she kept on doing this, but she never would monetize any of the ideas. So when she started my coaching, I said, she wanted to go with other coaches, but they said, you can only do one. My approach was, you can do them all, but right now we will do only one, but you can do them all. Just map them out, put them aside. We can work with them all, but right now we can only do one. And when this is automatically done, then you can take the next. So I didn't tell her not to do them or choose from them. I just said, which one is the one that would give you the fastest money? Which one would be the one that give you the most visibility, so that can shine on the other projects as well? Which one would brand you faster? Which one would do this faster? So she found a few projects that went simultaneously, but only one that she focused on 100%. And then within a year, she put on one of the biggest event in Norway. She grew her business immensely. And yeah, so she's one of, whenever she speaks, everybody listens. So we have put different summits and different live stage, and she did, as I said, another event. So this was her third event in autumn last year, where there was amazing people from all over the world were in her panel, and she hosted the whole event, and then grew more visible and more branded because of that. And now she have different partners in different countries. So it doesn't take long, but you really need to do the work. So she is one of my greatest, what do you call it, beautiful clients that really took it and just ran with it. And she does, she still calls me and asks, hey, could I do this or should I do this, whenever she is confused. But this is why I also have group coaching, because I want to be available for my clients. I don't want to be another coach who puts away the coaching and then it's done. If you've been my client and you need help, okay, let's start. The other one is, she's a designer. What do you call it? Wedding gowns. And she actually experienced a little bit something like me. Her company was taken over. She didn't actually understand it, but she wanted to have somebody else who can run it with her. But they started out as that, and suddenly she understood that they have taken everything. So they suddenly took the customers and they were selling something else, and yeah, with her name on it, because she's a known designer in Norway. She fell sick after that because it was very traumatic for her. She felt betrayed and she lost everything. So, in order to build up her health again, she kind of let everything else go. But then she's so passionate about sewing and designing wedding gowns. So she started up again. That's when she started with me. And we built up her business, but she's also into styling and everything else. And just recently, she's been to Paris Fashion Week with her designs, and she's now sold so many gowns for, I think, $7,500, around that. And really into the big market, and she has influencers and known famous people in Norway who are buying her gowns. So she's back on top. So that, again, another success story. By following the right structure, you can really grow your business within half a year, but you really have to work hard on it. It's a full-time job.
Wow, that's really amazing. That you're able to help these women entrepreneurs like find their focus
Yeah.
and really transform them. That's really
They're
amazing.
beautiful ladies. They're all of my ladies are beautiful. And what I've seen is that most of them come with this passion, they want to do, they want to change. They not just their own life or their family's life, but they want to have an impact. They want other people, the customers, to have a transformation or have an amazing experience. And that's what keeps them going. Yeah, they're beautiful. I love working with them.
Can you tell us about your methodology for business growth and why it works?
Well, first thing I work with is to, obviously, I connect very deeply with them. I do take an assessment of, can I really help them? I'm not about to take your money if I think, okay, we might not have a match, or I might not be able to add value the way my structure works. Not everybody are built for the same, not one shoe fit all. So I'm very honest right away. That doesn't mean that we can't be friends or be nice to each other. It's just that not everybody can work with everybody, you know and so for me, that connection is really, really important very early. And then I also need to ask them, what is it that they want? you know a lot of people start business, and that's totally fine to start business to earn money, because that's fair. That's the truth. That is why 99% of the people start business. that they want to earn money. They need to earn money, but it's difficult for them to put it in words. So I ask, what do you want? And then it is about the structure. I teach them the structure, and we also talk a lot about that we need to find the tweaks. We always have to tweak. It is, let's say we have a structure, we followed it, but something happens, the market change, the system change, suddenly there is a social media platform that nobody heard about, but everybody's there, then we need to tweak, we need to change, right? And as I said earlier, what do they want? Goals are very, very important. I'm a certified goal mapping coach. So I use systems Brian Main have created that actually help both of your brain parts to focus on your goals. So we work with writing the right goals, the words, the tone of the words, and everything is important when you are working with a goal, but also the pictures and the symbols are important that connects you with the words, because pictures flares up emotions. So if you can connect emotion to the words, then you're using both of the brain part and you're focused on your goal. And that's one of the most important tools that I have, that I work with, and keep on reminding them that, remember, focus on your goal. Even when things are hard and challenging, or you won, then we celebrate. We always have to celebrate small wins, small steps. That's also a part of it. And accountability, as I said. Accountability also a part of the system. Yeah.
Oh, it's really great. That's really interesting. I never heard about that before, that some type of goal setting that works with both left brain and right brain.
It
That's a
does.
very
It does.
interesting concept.
It really integrates your goal into your body, because our mind, it's like whatever you focus on, that's what it will give you. So if you know this is where I want to be, suddenly you'll see all the opportunities that are out there that can help you reach there. Suddenly it's like when you bought a new car, suddenly everybody has the same car. Why is that? Because your focus is on your new car, and now your eyes see all of the new cars exactly the same as your model. Before that, maybe you haven't thought about it, but suddenly you can see all of the new cars. Same goes with us. If we focus on a goal, suddenly we see all of the other opportunities that are out there that can help us reach the goal. We really have to work with the goal, and that's where the hard work, or that's where the work for us starts. So all the other things you can always learn from YouTube or another person, but it's the deep dive into you. And also, when we're working with the goals, the limiting beliefs comes up. Am I good enough to get this? I don't have the skills. I don't have it. Maybe I should take another education or certification. It's all about these limiting beliefs that keeps us back. So the way I work is that we go deep into the goals and the why you want to reach that or get that, achieve that. And all of those limiting beliefs needs to be replaced with empowering beliefs. And then the safe community where you can express yourself and be held accountable. And then you can see how fast you move forward.
Now, you are a country chair of the G100. Can you maybe
Yeah.
share with the audience what exactly is the G100 for people who don't know? And what are some of the change you're passionate about seeing in women's leadership worldwide?
Yeah, that's really good, Daniel. I love G100. It's the wing that I am a country chair, India country chair of, is G100 female CEOs and wealth creation. So that is a global network of women who are in different wings that are different subjects, but I am in this wing of female CEOs and wealth creation. And in India, there are a lot of women who don't have that self or confidence in investing their own money and creating the wealth. They can be earning a lot of money. It's not just about earning money or supporting their family, but because there are a lot of successful women in India. India is a growing country, and the economy is growing very, very fast. It's a very young country. It's 60% of the population is between 30 and 60. So you can imagine how much money they can generate. But there's still so many women who owns money and have money and earn money, but they don't know how to invest. They don't know how to make it into wealth for them, and it's not just a simple income, but actually keep on generating more wealth. So my focus is financial literacy is very important for women all over the country. So I have different chairs, state chairs, city chairs, which I work very closely with. And then we try to give as many women as we can the support and the help that we can give. It could be women in rural areas who don't know how to set up their business, but they have skills in sewing or they have skills in something, cooking or farming or whatever it is, and how to generate that, how to monetize that skill, support their family, but also grow, so they can have a bigger impact, not on just their family, but their city and so on. So it is a huge project. It's a dream because I am brought up in Norway, which have, for me, it was very surprising when I started to work closely in India that women were so dependent on their husband, like their son or uncle or dad for controlling the money. Not that the men wanted to, just that, okay, I'm earning this money, you distribute it, you work with it, you put it into investment, you buy they will just push the responsibility because they were afraid of investing themselves. They were afraid that what if I lose this money, then everybody will say, why did you spend it, why did you use it, or why did you invest it there? So it's all about the confidence and knowledge about how to generate wealth once you have the money. So that's what we are trying to do in India. In Norway, it was very easy. I was always very independent, never dependent on my husband. Always had my separate bank account. Always, I would obviously, after I got married, I'll, tell him, hey, I want to buy a new car. Would you want to come with me to buy the car? But in India, I was like, buy a new car by myself? No, I have to have somebody else with me. Oh, apartment in my name? No. Maybe we can put it on my son's name or my husband's name. Why? Why aren't you independent? Why are you not using the money in your name? So that's what we're trying to change there.
I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to write the book, Proven Benefits of Meditation, and how has meditation played a role in your healing journey?
Yeah, as I said, I was bullied a lot. So I started meditating when I was 11 to handle all of this negativity that was coming my way from outside, the anger and all the energy that I couldn't hold on to myself because I was a child myself. My mom inspired me to meditate. So I started meditating. I started looking inwards. I would sit for hours and just close my eyes. And it wasn't until I was 16 that I understood that this is called meditation. And I felt I was guided from, I don't know, universe or something. And I found some books when I was 16. Before that, I couldn't find any books on meditation, especially not in Norwegian, but I found some in English. And so I felt like a total new world opened for me. So I started studying that more and more, finding new techniques, going into different, energy healing through the meditation. But I wouldn't heal anybody else, but only myself. And so then once it's a long time now, when I was doing coaching, I when I started with the coaching, I integrated a lot of meditation because there is a lot of visualization in NLP, but I always done that before. So while I was doing that, somebody asked if I want to do some meditation courses for psychologists. And they said, they didn't believe in meditation, but since half of the world was doing it, they wanted to know what the fuss was about. And so they put on their pulse clock and they put on all of their machines. They wanted to see what does it actually do to people? How does the brain waves focus and what does it do? And so I had a course with them. I kind of tailored a course for them, and they did all the experiments while I was guiding them through the different techniques of meditation. Because since I learned the different by myself, the different techniques, I would tell them, okay, this is chakra healing, this is TM meditation, this is this meditation, and this is this. So I would tell them the techniques that I was teaching them. And so they were, as I said, hooked up to different machines and got the results. And they were surprised how calm they felt and how well they were responding. They found it a little bit difficult to focus because they were much in their head, but it went well. Then after the course, they said you should write a book because there are more people, especially in Europe, who like to have like researched techniques. How does this work on your body? And hence the book's name, Proven Benefits of Meditation. So I worked with them, and I had a lot of research at hand that would show what kind of benefits you can get from the different techniques. So that's the book.
Wow, that's really amazing. If somebody's listening to our podcast today, but they feel lost in figuring out the life purpose, what do you suggest that they begin to find their life purpose?
Oh, Daniel, you wanted me to answer that in 1 minute?
Part, like just the beginning. Is there like a first step that they can take?
Yeah, of course. I would say life purpose can, some people say that doesn't change, but I believe it can, depending on, I don't believe we have just one life purpose throughout the whole life. I think, okay, when maybe you're born to do something, and then once you've done that, you can do something else that is great and big, you know? So I believe that listen to the clues the universe is sending you, and it's not always easy to understand, but also find what are you so passionate about that you dream about it all the time. And if there is something that you put aside because you don't want to dream about it, it feels sad that you haven't achieved it, bring it forward and see what do you need to do to be there. If there is something that you dream about and that lifts you up, gives you goosebumps, of it feels like you're in love, that butterfly in the stomach. If that is something that you're so passionate about, like my designer, she's so passionate about see brides in her white dresses. She's so passionate. She can dream about it. She can be, oh, I want to dress that person into my gown. And she can think about it. Just a few weeks later, that person will call. But she's so into it. If that can happen, if you can feel that butterfly, that it will put a smile to your face, then that's maybe the first mission. Once you start, you'll get to see that the road will automatically be visual to you. Suddenly, you would take the first step in that direction, and everything will, unfold by itself when time is right. Because sometimes you think, okay, I want to achieve this, maybe $1 million, or I want to achieve a house in Spain, or whatever you want to achieve. And that's when the life will be amazing if you think like that. Start and take the right one step in that direction, and you will automatically see the next. So that's the only thing I can say.
Well, thank you so much. That's really good advice. What legacy do you like to have to be remembered by? Both either like personally and professionally, because like you're doing so many different things. What legacy are you trying to like build and be remembered by?
Yeah, it's funny you would say that. It's a little bit morbid, but when I lost a friend of mine 16 years ago, and when I was at her funeral, I thought, what will people say the day I die? I always think, I don't take it as sad. Always think, okay, if I was to die tomorrow, what would they say about me? So I always think about that, and I want people to remember me as loving, helping, people who would say that I helped them transform something in their life, change something in their life for better. If they came to me, that I was able to help them. Doesn't matter if it was in their private life or business or dancing career or anything. If somebody comes to me, I want them to remember me as I did everything in my power to help them, and with love, that they will always remember me smiling and loving. Yeah.
If somebody had a question about our interview today, or they're interested in working with you, what are the best ways to get in touch with you?
The best way will be through my social media, Facebook or LinkedIn. That's the best. I check my Facebook very often, and I can probably provide you with a link and connect with me on Facebook, and let's have a chat and see if I can help you.
Well, we'll make sure that your social media links are right underneath the podcast so people can easily get in touch with you. We'll have that readily available.
Yeah.
Before we close, was there any like final thing that you like to say to our audience? Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I would say that if you're an entrepreneur, make sure that you're seen, make sure that you're visual, because this is one field that there's no point of being the best hidden secret. What is seen best is what's sold best. And so remember to make yourself seen, and you control the narrative. What is said but you in social media? So go out there, brand yourself properly. And yeah, and I also want to say that take good care of yourself and be kind to others and yourself. Yeah.
Well, Richa, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I think you have such an incredible story. I think you're an inspiration to us all with all the adversity and everything you've been through, and like you constantly, and you're smiling at the other side, like you have a beautiful smile, and you're
Thank you.
sharing that with the world, and you're asking everybody else to do the same. That's the type of guest, like I really love to have on our podcast. So thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge and experience with everybody. I'm sure you're going to have a positive impact on a lot of people. So I really
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
Daniel. Thank you so much for having me. I wish you luck further, and thank you for listening.